All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, feast your eyes and tune your ears. It's that time again. We are live with another episode of The Authority Project. It's the video podcast streamed on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Periscope, where we talk to digital marketers, business coaches, and creators of all kinds on how they've built authority in their field and how you can mimic their success. Developing authority, building your audience, and attracting better clients to your own business. Now, without further ado, let's bring to the virtual stage your host, Brian S. Arnold.
All right, I am here, and we are about to get started here with my new friend Tanya, who is on the stage here with me, and we are going to be talking about something so unique. I'm so excited about this, and we already got people on here already saying hi, Tanya. How you doing, Don? We are live, and Tanya says she's going to show us. She's going to show us how to think outside of the selfie to impact our brand. And I want you to stay along with us because this is going to be some very interesting. This is a very interesting topic that I'm going to really grill her for. So we'll see how she does. But before we get into all of that, please, Tanya, tell us who you are personally and then professionally.
Sure. So I live over in Spokane, Washington, on the West Coast. Kind of inland a little bit. I'm married. I have 3 kids. They're 12, 9, and 7. And yeah, I've been an artist for over 20 years, a graphic designer, and then transitioned into branding photography. And now I'm actually teaching photographers how to do what I do. And I'm really loving that as well.
Nice. Very, very nice. So I'm not sure. I usually try to start with your story, but let's you've already kind of summarized it a little bit, but tell us the aha moment, maybe, when you saw that, you know what, this photo thing is the real deal in making an impact on the brand. Where did that start from?
Yeah, so as a graphic designer, I mean, I worked with some big national brands and then also small businesses. So I saw kind of a gap where the small businesses didn't have professional photography. You know, they didn't have great images that show who their brand is and a style that fits their brand. And a lot of times they're just using photos they took with their phone or, something like that. And they'd send them to me to put on their website or, make a billboard or ads. And I'm like, man, the photo takes up 90% of this design. And it's so terrible that, it's really hurting you. And that's kind of where I was like, I'd say, go hire a photographer. They'd get their portrait photographer, their wedding photographer to come out and do pictures, and it still wouldn't work. So I'm like, I guess I'm just going to have to learn how to do this and offer it to my clients. So that's kind of where Work Story came to be. That's the name of my business, Work Story Photography. So that's why I wanted to offer it to people as a solution for me as a designer, I guess.
Ooh, okay. So this is great. So what's so bad about the selfie, Tanya? Come on. What is so bad about the selfie?
Well, there's definitely a place for selfies, right? I mean, when I started this, social media was still kind of new, actually. And it's fine to take a selfie for your social media. It's fun. But, if you're designing an ad campaign or, you really want to have a branded look in all of your communications, it's a good idea to have a plan. What are you trying to communicate? And there's a whole bunch of different things we can do to infuse those communications into your visuals by carefully planning that out and not just, taking a quick picture of yourself in the car or whatever. So
Got it. So what does this custom photo supposed to look like? Is it this branded photo? What does it look like? That's the question.
Yeah. So all of my clients are different, which is the fun thing. Like, I don't just work with dentists or whatever. I've got dentists, engineers, chiropractors. I just did photos for a copy machine place. I've got a car salesperson. So they're all different. So one thing I do with them is we sit down and talk about their messaging. You know, what kind of person do you want to be portrayed as? What kind of client do you have, and what might attract them? And we come up with a shot list. I help them decide what to wear. We work on, you know, facial expressions and body language that are going to communicate how they want to be perceived. You know, do they want to be fun? Do they want to be serious? Do they want to, you know, be high end or more affordable? All of those kinds of things we plan out and then create images that communicate those things. So it looks different for every client, really.
Awesome. I'm going to jump in with a question from the audience here already.
Okay.
So she's asking, question, what would be your suggestion for those that are currently shoestringing it on a budget?
On a budget. Okay, that's a great question. So, I mean, you can start out taking your own photos, right? You could put a camera on a tripod, use your phone, but make sure you're getting some great light. You know, make sure you're considering those things, like what do you want to wear? Where might be some good background? Like make sure there's no clutter in the background, or, you know, that kind of thing. Or you could hire a photographer that maybe is having a special deal, or a student, someone who's learning. That's a good place to start if you're on a budget.
So you are not anti-camera, smartphone camera?
No. I mean, the phones these days,
yeah,
have great capabilities. You know, if you're being careful and thoughtful about your images, you know, I mean, I've never done this before, but I'd be interested in shooting someone's work story campaign on a phone just to see what we could do, because it's not necessarily about the camera. You know, I mean, obviously I have a professional grade camera, right. But, you know, it's all that planning and the strategy and the knowledge that I'm bringing to that to help you create images for your brand that really matters, I think. So.
Okay, so I appreciate that question, Don Long on here. He said, great tip here.
Yeah, that was a great question.
So I want to make sure that we're in the right context. So are you saying this is this for any context? Is it just for people who are dentists or who are in the professional realm? Or could it be, you know, like the people in my audience who are digital marketers, they are online business?
Oh, yeah. A lot of my clients are coaches, like online coaches. You know, they really need a lot of images because they aren't meeting people in person. Like everything's online. So anyone who's marketing digitally especially needs great photos. You know, if you're selling a product too, that could be, you know, I mean, you're selling something online that's tangible, you need to have great photos. So, and you can develop a style that is associated with that product, right? Like if you look at, what's an example? Like if we go to like the Tiffany's Facebook page or their website, the photos are going to have a very specific style, right? Versus like Walmart. If we go and you walk into a Walmart, it's a very different style of photo because it's a totally different audience, right? Like one's like the very, very high and the other one's on the very, very bottom of like, you know, toilet paper we're buying, you know? So
yeah, exactly.
It's a totally different photographic style. And that's something that the big brands use, is that photographic style to communicate to their audience. So anyone marketing anything really can benefit from considering, you know, what's the style of our photos? What do we want to communicate in our photos?
I like how you're saying this because I'm in the middle of updating my graphic for the podcast, and I sent that out to several different people. I had a list of all these different designs, and you couldn't, you know, I couldn't imagine so many different points of view for what people thought. You know, they were like, Brian should have this. Brian should do this. Brian, I don't see this is an authority. You shouldn't do this. Da, da, da. I'm just like, wow. So I wonder if people still maybe it's true that people get these emotions from your photo.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, how much of an impact it can be. So let's just dive into that. I'm just scrimming around with these questions, but how does that impact your brand strategy? How would that bring them on the catalyst just from a photo?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, if you look, let's say you went to someone's website that's, you know, trying to sell you something, and it's pretty obvious that it's a bad photo. It's a DIY. Like, how credible do you think that person is? You know, like there's that trust factor, right? Like, are they really a professional? I mean, when I go to your Facebook page, what you've done, you have professional graphics, you have a nice photo of you. So I'm like, oh, this is like a legit podcast guy, you know, like he's not just he didn't just start his podcast yesterday, you know, that kind of thing. Those are the things I'm thinking. And obviously everyone's going to think something different, but we can kind of anticipate in general what most people are going to think when they see a certain photo or a certain graphic or a certain look that you have. So did that answer your question? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so. And Candy Sakai says photos have their own story.
Right. Each photo, right? A photo is worth 1,000 words. So what do you want those words to be? I guess that's what the power that a photo has.
Yeah, I think you have to get a consensus, because I think some you have no idea how many different descriptions I had for the pictures I had. So it's like I still think, well, we'll go into that a little later, but let's go into can you give us an example of where this is true with the right photo has brought somebody from here to here, from here to there in their result.
Right. Yeah. So I have one client that's a real estate agent group. There's 5 of them. And they hired me about 3 years ago. They were wanting to level up their brand. So they were, they're wanting to really go for those high-end listings. And so they hired me to create a set of images to use for an ad campaign, a billboard, just, any place where they were going to be advertising. And we did, we made this really cool group shot that's kind of like a movie poster, right? Like with an ensemble cast. And it's all black and white. And we put this on this billboard, and a year later, people are still talking about that billboard. Like, wow, look at these people, And then they had their print ads, and I had one of the agents. She told me specifically, several people called her out of the blue, like, "Hey, I'm looking for a real estate agent. I saw your picture in the magazine, and you just look nice, and I want to hire you." So, and they've hired me 3 years in a row to come do their new photos for their campaign every year with that. And now it's like the famous billboard, stay tuned for the new billboard picture. We just try to come up with something that looks really cool. It's not those 4 faces on a billboard like most real estate agents do. It's different. They're known for it. So, that's a super local example. Right. But it worked, all from the photo, Right.
So, but as you said, that there are people who you gotta get the right photographer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's good that we're saying is, I mean, we'd all love to hire you at this point, but what do you look for in when you're trying to getting the right photographer for you to get the right measures out?
Yeah. So I would look for, as you're looking for photographers in your area, look on their website and make sure they specialize in either branding photography or commercial photography or corporate photography. And look, sometimes they'll say on their Facebook, "Oh, I specialize in corporate photography," but then you go to their website and you only see weddings and babies or whatever. I would say they don't specialize in that. So look for someone who has lots of examples of the type of images you're looking for. That's one. You could also look for reviews, on their their Facebook or their Google or whatever, and even ask for referrals. I've given ask for a referral. If you see a fellow business person who has great photography in your area, ask them who their photographer was. And then you can ask for a reference, ask the photographer, "Hey, could I talk to some of your clients and see how their experience was and see some of the work in use that you've done for them?" That's a good way to kind of, make sure you know what you're getting into, because it's hard to choose a photographer, right? You're like, I mean, how do you know what you're going to get if you're, so, and just have a call with them, ask them about their process. If they, do they offer help with all this planning? That's something unique that I do, but I'm teaching my students how to do this pre-production planning with people, because a lot of the success comes from that. If a photographer is just showing up and you don't know how to prepare, the odds are you might not have as successful of a shoot. So Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't we get deep into how one should look maybe in a photo?
Okay.
Because I've had a shoot maybe a long time ago. It's a long time ago, and I didn't like it. Okay, I didn't like
Yeah.
it. Didn't like the way I looked.
Right.
So tell us how we should look so that we are business professional, but maybe still show who we are as a person.
Sure. Yeah, well, there's several things I focus on. One is lighting, like making sure we have good lighting for you, because bad lighting can just make everyone look bad. And then the posing, like how I pose you, could have a drastic difference in how people perceive you, right? Like you want to make sure you're being posed in a way that's professional. And like I've studied body language extensively. So a lot of mistakes I see is a lot of people, standing with their arms crossed. That can look stern. It can look closed off. Sometimes it can make you look authoritative. It just depends, so I very carefully use that pose. And hopefully the photographer you hire has studied.
Well, I have that picture, but I have a little smile.
Yeah. The facial expression combined with the body language really, can help. So,
which is crazy to say that because somebody said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but somebody said to me that I didn't look authoritative enough because I had that smile, which is kind of weird. So anyway, go ahead.
Well, I think it comes down to how do you want to be authoritative but also friendly and approachable? Because if you're interviewing people on a podcast, you want them to think you're a nice guy. That's what I want. So,
right.
So, and then coming, what to wear, obviously a suit is good if you want to be perceived as being professional. I tell my clients to wear what do you wear when you meet with your clients, really? I mean, if you're working in your pajamas from home, maybe you want to step it up a little for your professional image. Right. Oftentimes I'll either, if it's a local, I'll go to their home and help them choose their clothes, or I'll have them send me pictures of what they're thinking of wearing. And I have a little guide that I send out with some ideas of what to wear and what not to wear, that kind of thing. So.
Awesome. Tell us about colors of what to wear.
Sure.
What's good, what's bad?
Yeah. So, for me, in my brand, my color is pink. I have a hot pink and black. That's kind of what I wear, and it's part of my brand color. So if you have a brand color that you want to be, infused into your branding, put some of that in there. If it's a really bright color, you might just want to have a little pop of color instead of, head to toe pink. That would not be great for me. So, and then, I try to avoid all black because sometimes it can be too heavy, all consuming, although that's what I like to wear. So if it's part of your brand, that's fine. But try to wear, try some color. A lot of people just wear gray all the time or black, and, color can look really great in your photos and help you stand out in your feed on social media. And some color, green can be hard to photograph sometimes yellow too. It just depends on your skin tone and that kind of thing too. So I don't know if that was a great answer, but
yeah, I like it. So what about, color attracts, right? Mm-hmm. So what is your stance on black and white photos? Is color king when it comes to like the social media channels, or how you present yourself that way?
Right. Yeah. Well, color can definitely stand out, especially if you've got a pop of color, like a pink or a red or something like that. I think the black and white can either have a vintage feel or a high end feel sometimes. So if you're going, like I said, that one real estate agent, they do all black and white photos. Unless for sometimes their headshots, they do color in an ad or something, but that kind of makes them stand out because everyone else is doing color. True. So, but I would say use black and white carefully, if that's part of your strategy. But otherwise, I like color. If you go to my website, workstoryphotography.com, it's full of color. So
awesome. So here comes the devil's advocate piece here. So when people are here listening to you, and they're not buying it. Their arms are folded. They're like, what is this? I've heard people say all you need to do is just do a little camera thing, put it out there, you'll be fine. The content is what's going to carry you. What is this about photos? Just put something out there, and then express yourself. That's the most important thing. What do you say to that?
So, well, I think both are important, right? Like I've seen some people invest all this money in professional photos, but then they're not putting out great content. And so they're not, or they're not selling in a way that works. So, but then I also have seen people who have this great thing that they offer, but no one's taking them seriously because they don't look professional, So having both, I think, is so important. But if you're just starting out, like, just get your stuff out there. Don't, if you're like, I can't afford a photographer, therefore I'm not going to do anything. I would say don't do that, right? Like, it's okay to launch ugly. It's okay to start getting your stuff out there, and then eventually, you have on the list, let's get some professional photography and see how that helps you go up to the next level. So
launch ugly, please. Launch ugly. I love that. I wish I could trademark that. That's wonderful. launch ugly first, and then just build up. I think a lot of people, like you said, trap themselves saying, this isn't going to. I don't look good. I remember I had a student the other day where she was just like, let me just give it. I was like, no, just put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Let me get a photographer. No, because it's going to, prolong your growth if you stop there. So.
Right. And I've made that mistake in the past, like, oh, it's not perfect, so I'm not going to put it out there, or being afraid that I don't look good, so I don't want to put it out there. So I think, definitely, if you've got something to put out into the world, just get it out there, and then later you can do professional photos. So
awesome. Dawn is saying here she loves it. Go for it and then streamline the process. Absolutely. So there is, though, if we're to be honest, Tanya, there is a slight bit of vanity to us that says, you know what, I just don't like this picture.
Yeah.
Put this picture out there. So what do you say to that as far as that? I mean, I don't know what to say about that.
Right. Yeah. So mindset around this is huge. Like I'll get clients who, will do their photos. I send them the proofs and they have to choose their 10 or whatever that I'm going to retouch. And they're like, well, I don't like this one because my eye is weird, or my, like my hair is weird in this picture, or like my arms are fat, or whatever the thing is. And I try to just bring them around. I mean, we take tons of pictures in my sessions, so usually we have no problem. Usually the problem is narrowing down to the favorites, but keeping in mind, like, these pictures are to help me get my message out to my audience that I want to help, and I hired a professional, and I think we're our own worst critics, so it can help to have someone to guide you through, like, oh, well, I would use this one for your Facebook header, and I would use this one on your website, or whatever, and just trusting. Like, I have 20 years of experience in marketing, and I think your photos look amazing. Like, I would use as a graphic designer, I would love to have these photos to work with. And then just keeping in mind too, that I can do anything in Photoshop. I can change pretty much anything. I can make you look like a totally different person if there's something you don't like about your photo.
I love your skill sets. So tell us, like, what's the biggest mistake that you can do that you see in photos and when you view them online or otherwise?
Let's see. So I think really just like the facial expressions, or the body language. I was telling you, I often see photos and I'm like, oh, well, like I see these red flags of like, of not trusting, like, I don't trust you because you're looking off to the side, or, your background is in like this dingy apartment, but you're trying to sell me this like $5,000 program, or, like having your written or spoken message not match the message you're giving me with the visual. Yeah, I see that as being, for whatever reason that we're seeing in that photo, that it's not matching.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm calling your bluff because I'm not seeing this in the photo, right? And the photo speaks more words than the words you're saying or the words you've written.
I like that. I love that. So amazing stuff so far. So we're almost at the end of it, but this is the last question I ask all of my guests, and it goes something like this: people hear you, they love what you're saying, they agree in what you're saying, and they understand it. They want to go along the same path as you, and be an authority in this space. Can you show them or tell them in your own words how you can get to the point where you are now, so they can also make your success?
Sure. Well, I've been at this for a really long time. I can't remember who is it, Malcolm Gladwell or somebody says, you need 10,000 hours of time to become an expert at something. And I don't know if I'm 10,000 hours in. I mean, I feel like I've got this, I'm confident I can show up to do a good job. And it's just taken time. It's taken a lot of study. When I was starting to get into this, there wasn't a lot of specific education for branding photography. There was a lot for wedding photographers and portrait photographers. So I just kind of invented my own way, kind of like paved the way, and listened to what my clients wanted and what they needed help with, and created this system for giving it to them.
Right.
And I actually now have a course. It's at workstoryeducation.com for photographers to teach them exactly what I do. So that's really exciting. And I can guide you through every step of the way, which I didn't really have that when I started. So
I love it. I love it. So I'm trying to figure out if I had another question for you. Another question for you here. How much should you pay before we get out of here? How much should you be paying for a good shoot in the beginning or otherwise?
Yeah, that's a good question. So this is the golden question, right? How much is it going to cost?
Yeah.
And it varies. I see photographers charging anywhere from like $500 to $5,000. So it just depends on what they're offering, what you're getting for that money, how established the photographer is. My packages are about $3,000 for a kind of a half-day shoot, and you get a big library of images and all that planning along the way to guide you through. So, and every once in a while I'll have, kind of a smaller mini session that's $750 to get you started. So it just depends. I would say if a photographer is only charging, a couple $100s, they're probably not as experienced. They're not, going to have as much to offer you as far as expertise. But, if you're just starting out and that's all you can afford and somebody's offering that, like, give it a try, see how it goes. And then, maybe you do another shoot later. So. Awesome.
So your photo counts. This is what she's trying to say to everybody. Your photo counts. Your photo counts.
Yes, it matters.
Unbelievable. Great stuff, man. I was challenged today. I wasn't sure if you were going to give me all the good stuff, but you did.
Oh, good. Yeah.
You nailed it. You nailed it today. And I'm not sure. I think we're done here, but before we go, I want to explain to everybody about going to authorityletter.com. We're in the middle of our 8-week digital product giveaway. And we are giving away, this week, we're giving away some Apple AirPods. So if you're interested, go there to authorityletter.com and get on that if you like. And before we get out of here, do you have any other words of wisdom for us before we get out of here about photos or how we should look or how important it is for us to get this done?
Let's see. I think just being aware of it, and don't be too like we talked about the mindset, not being too obsessed with how you look. Like, just get in front of the camera, and if you feel really uncomfortable with that, maybe start taking some selfies. I mean, at the beginning we're like, think outside the selfie, but this could help you get over your anxiety about being in front of the camera. Like, every day, set up your phone on a tripod with a little clicker and just take some pictures of yourself and start to look at your pictures and point out things that you like about the way you look. That could help you start to feel more comfortable getting out there. Because if you want to be an authority online, you need your face out there in photos and videos, right?
Yes. I'm so glad you said that. We didn't get that in earlier, but yes, because people fear a lot of this. I mean, just getting their face out there. Some people, I know you've seen this before. People don't even put their face on their social profile. They put like an image or a cat or a dog. I'm like, where are you?
Yeah, right.
So it's so important for people to see you. I have the same thing when I was starting to do live streaming. And, I'm introverted and shy. And I was like, I'm just going to show the people the camera on the other side, not me. And people actually wanted to see my face. It was like, wow, this is. They want, they want to see you.
Yeah.
And, so it's just an amazing thing.
And that comes down to that trust, like if you put a picture of your dog on your profile, I'm like, why? Like, are you a scammer in Nigeria or something? Like, why did you not have a picture of yourself there? Right. So yeah, it's so important. And then, I have a group on Facebook called Rock Your Small Business Brand. So if you're, not a photographer, but you want to explore a little bit more about the branding part, you can come join that group anytime, and you can access me there. So, yeah.
Awesome. My sister is on the line here. She says that's what I told her because I did tell her that because she's afraid to put her face on the.
Gotta get your picture out there.
So. This is just amazing stuff. I'm glad you came here. I know we couldn't get it done before. I'm glad you came on today and just rocked out of the park. Unbelievable stuff. Get to know this person. Please connect with her. And we'll be getting this on to the podcast very shortly. I appreciate you. And that is all we have. I know we'll be back. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem. We'll see you on the next episode of The Authority Project.
And that's a wrap for this episode of The Authority Project. Thanks so much for tuning in. And if you like what you heard, we want to hear from you. Subscribe, rate, and give an honest review. Share and tell your friends so they can hear too. And for even more authority building tactics, be sure to sign up at theauthorityletter.com. Get free weekly content and ongoing digital product giveaways to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. We certainly hope you got a key takeaway or maybe an aha moment from today's broadcast. Just remember, it's your authority. Build it, share it, and they will come. Until next time.